Okay, Bismillah. Whoa. I think so. I don't much know why this mic is too strong. Right, okay. Who can remind us what we talked about last week? What did we talk about last week? Yes, sir.
About the group that will be saved and the others will be in the fire.
Okay, excellent. The group that will be saved, Al-Firqa Al-Najiyah Al-Mansura, right? There's this ummah will be divided and there's one that will make it. Okay? Yes?
So there's 77 paths and only one is right?
73.
Yeah.
So there'll be 73 different groups. This ummah will be divided into 73 different groups. And there will be one that will be successful. Okay? Anything else? Yes, sir? Okay, so we talked about the the concept of when we heard the argument when somebody says, oh, just because I can't see Allah, for example, doesn't mean He exists, and we kind of had doubts. And we talked about the little child that when they cover their eyes, right? When they cover their eyes, they think that they disappear and that you can't see them, right? So the same thing, our eyes or our existence, we are covered, we can't see. Right? So just because we don't see something, it doesn't mean that whatever we're not seeing doesn't exist, right? And vice versa, that Allah can't see us as well, right? So it's just important to understand that concept. So let's jump right into this next part. So we talked about last week as well that the belief system or the Iman or the Aqeedah of the people, the group that we call Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the people that follow the Sunnah, and they are part of the group of followers of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, sometimes people may say, oh, is this like, this group versus the world? It's not a political group, okay? When you say you're Ahl Sunnah, or even the term Sunni, that's not like political. It's all we're saying is that we're followers of the Sunnah. Right? That's all it is. But certain situations, they make it into like, oh, it's you guys versus everybody else, and oh my God, you have your own system. If we're not on your path, then everything else is not accepted, and all that kind of stuff. So what we say is that when someone follows the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, he's a Sunni. When you're from Mecca, what do they call you? Mecca. You're from what? Pardon, which other countries we have? Iraq, you call them Iraqi, and so on, right? Bukhara, Imam? Bukhari. Excellent. So it alludes to where you're from or what you belong to, right? So we say from the Sunnah, someone's a Sunni, okay? So that's something very important to pay attention to, because sometimes people may say, oh, what kind of Muslim are you? It's like, well, there's only really one type of Muslim, right? There's only one proper version of that. If you follow the Prophet, then you're a follower of the Prophet. Very simple, right? So that's something very important to know. Now, the other thing is that the faith system of this group that claims to follow the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they believe in a few things, okay? وَهُوَ الْإِيمَانُ بِاللَّهِ, and it is believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having firm faith in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshipping Him through al-rububiyyah, tawheed al-rububiyyah, which is His lordship, tawheed al-uluhiyyah, and His divinity, His godship, and through asma al-sifat, through His attributes and His names, right? So we're gonna discuss this a little bit further, inshallah. But you are having firm faith in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah? How does it start off? Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. What does that mean quickly? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ.
This book has no doubt in it?
Yeah, this book that has no faults or doubts or imperfections. The Quran. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. Okay, next. Okay, هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. What does that mean? You pick somebody.
Yusuf.
Okay, Yusuf. You forgot, bro. Okay, Yusuf forgot. Yusuf, pick somebody else. Ali? Who?
I don't know.
Okay, Rahma. هدى للمتقين. هدى or hidayah, هدى. Yes, Hiba. Guidance for al-muttaqeen. The special term, yes. Yes, miss. Your name? Zahra, okay. Sorry, can I ask Ali, could you get Mu'tasim to lower the volume a little bit? It's too high. Thank you, sir. Okay, so هدى للمتقين, it means it's guidance for those who have taqwa. Okay? It's guidance for those who have taqwa. Taqwa is fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? There are a type of people, a type of believer. So you have a believer, he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or she believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but these people, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, these people have sort of a deep concern and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what they do. Because there are some believers that they're kind of laxed a little bit, right? They're like, yeah, it's okay, we'll discuss this later, we'll figure things out later, we're not gonna, ask about everything, like they're not very conscious of Allah sometimes. And sometimes their iman goes up and it goes down. But the muttaqeen, it's a type, like Allah's describing them. They're not just mu'mineen or muslimin, they're muttaqeen. They have a title of, excellence in how they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah says, He said it's a guide for the muttaqeen. الَّذِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Those الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in what's al-ghayb? In the unseen. Why is it mentioned here? What's the big deal about the unseen?
Does it have to do with like Yom Al-Qiyamah and stuff and things like that?
Well, I mean, Yom Al-Qiyamah is part of it, but there's a lot, like the world of the unseen, it's a massive world, like there's so many parts. So there's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believe in the unseen. Okay, yes.
So they have to be aware of what they are not capable of seeing.
Okay, you started the ball, so that they have to be capable of worshiping without seeing. Okay, that's a difficult step. Yes, sir.
Yeah. They have to say believe anything they can't see. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they can't see him because they're not. For example, right now we can't see Rasulullah because he's already passed away. Or you have to believe in Allah because you can't see Allah, and you have to believe in things that like that.
Okay, so obviously what he's saying is that you can't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're believing in Allah and He's part of the unseen. We can't see the Prophet ﷺ except if you have a dream, for example, but on a constant basis, like we're not able to see the Prophet. You're considered very, very blessed. We won't say lucky, right? Very blessed if you saw the Prophet in your dream, for example. But we haven't seen Isa alayhi salam or Musa alayhi salam. We haven't seen things that would help maybe increase our faith, right? So it's a bit of a challenge. What else is unseen? What else we can't see? Yes, sir.
Jinn?
We can't see. Okay, I mean, yeah, but that's a spin-off. The jinn is. I know it's an exciting topic. We're in the weekend school. We're talking about jinns right now.
Yeah.
Who do we have in the back? Okay. Yes, Hiba. Okay, we mentioned that. That's good.
Wait, what was
Yes.
the question?
Tell me of the unseen. Why did Allah mention this?
The angels
We can't see the angels. Okay.
or Jannah
Excellent. Or Jannah.
or hellfire
Or hellfire.
or the seven.
What about there's a whole world you're missing, by the way.
Angels.
No. Come on, girls, bring it. Bring it home. Yes. Never mind. You guys got this. There's a massive world that we're all gonna go towards, and we have no idea what it's about. Nope.
Oh.
Yes.
The hereafter.
Hereafter.
Afterlife. We passed away.
Afterlife.
The soul.
Qabr.
Oh yeah, the grave.
The
Yawm
life.
al-Qiyamah.
The life.
The life of the grave.
Okay. The life. Can you just give it to me in one line?
The life of
Yawm
the grave.
al-Qiyamah.
No. Yes.
Zukhruf?
Yes. Yes. Use that.
Yeah,
So what's the transitionary life called? Just before the hereafter.
Al-Barzakh.
Al-Barzakh. It is the life. It is the life
Grave.
in the graves. The life underground. Okay. Let's get back to planet Earth, guys. I know we went a little far. Let's come back. So if we had knowledge or deep understanding, or if we had some glimpses or some images or some sites, like now if you Google like, life after death, you're not gonna find it. With Google and all its power, you're not gonna find what the hereafter looks like, right? There may be some artists' renderings out there. There may be some, like, I don't know, a whole bunch of weird stuff, fantasy worlds. But in reality, there's nothing concrete to say this is what it looks like, or this is the testimonies or some feedback and reviews of people who passed away, right? We don't have that stuff. That's called the unseen, al-ghayb. So the task for us as a person or a believer, we have to believe in the unseen. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Now, it's very difficult, but Allah knows it's difficult, right? He knows it's a challenge, because as human beings, we like to, feel things. I can feel it. I can, experience it. It's something tangible. But this is like you're told to worship. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, I miss my brothers. Do you know who is he talking about? You know the hadith?
People who worship, or believe in him, even though they can't see him.
Yeah, well, further to that, he said, yes, sir?
The people who believe in after that.
So, in his time, he had the Sahaba, he had companions, right? And these companions, they had the Prophet in front of them. They had the revelations coming down. They had some special, status. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send down ayat, and the angels would come in forms of different people, and there was interaction with the heavens. But the Prophet ﷺ said, I miss my brothers. And he said, are we not your brothers? He says, no, you are obviously my beloved companions, but I miss, there are some people, yes? Exactly, he said there'll be a people that would come after us, and all they would be believe in a book, they would believe in the Quran and some of my statements from the hadith and the sunnah. They would just believe in the knowledge element of it, and they would live by Islam, and they would die, and they will do good, and they will die by Islam without seeing us, without being connected to anything. He said these people will have reward of 50 people. He said 50 of who? 50 of us or 50 of them? Right? Like, say you did something really good. Is Allah going to give you a reward of 50 of us or 50 of the Sahaba time? He said they will have reward of 50 of you to the Sahaba. Can you imagine? So the Prophet ﷺ said, you're going to, yes, you Sahaba have access to me. You have, a special environment. But these people didn't. These people would struggle on a whole different level, right? They won't see anything. They'll just have a book and salawat, and they'll just learn based on knowledge and things were passed down, and they continued their lives and they worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said they'll have the reward of 50 of you, Sahaba. Isn't that awesome? Excellent. Super cool. You just laid it down for us. Okay. Okay, Al-Imanu Billah. So, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. Basically, those people who believe in the unseen. They believe in hellfire. They believe in Jannah. They believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They believe in His throne. They believe that the Isra and Mi'raj happened. They believe that the prophets came before. Do we like accept Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and reject the other prophets? Right? Do some people accept the prophets but they reject Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Definitely not.
No, there are people out there.
Christians.
Yeah, a lot of people. They don't recognize Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, well, okay, he's a person who just invented Islam. He didn't invent Islam. Islam is the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it came at different times. Islam is submission. So submission to Allah is not an old concept. It's not a new concept, sorry. Okay? It's a very, from day one. Okay? Guys, I'm hearing chit chat. I need you guys to refocus. Refocus, back to square one here. So, Al-Imanu Billah, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from every sense of it, okay? In the way you talk, so you fear Allah, you don't say the wrong things, you don't lie, you don't backbite, you don't gossip, you're not hurting others with your statements because you know that Allah is watching, okay? This is called Al-Imanu Billah. وَمَلَائِكَتِهِ, and His angels. Can we see the angels?
No.
Right? Pretty much impossible, right? Now they can present themselves to us if Allah allows it, right? If Allah allows. But we don't have that in these times. So believing the angels, believing that Jibreel alayhi salam is the chief of the angels of revelation, the angel of wahi. He brought down the messages. He is also considered a Rasul as well, right? He is a messenger. He brought down very, very important statements, Quran from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa kutubi, and in the books. What books are we talking about here? Okay, excellent. So all the books that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these books are one message, but they were a sharia of different people at different times. Okay? So in the time of Dawood alayhi salam, it's not going to be exactly the way it's here. Okay? Because it's called Shara'a man qablana. There's a sharia of people that came before us. Okay? Guys, we need some focus, please. The different books that came before the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ were part of a grand message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at different times, different chapters, meant for different audiences. It's as simple as that. Okay? The last chapter, the last message, the last book came on the hand of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It is the final message. Okay? It is the final message for mankind, for the rest of humanity from now till the end. So already we are in the end of times. When they say, oh, it's like, apocalypse is coming soon, it's the end of times, and, that's it, it's over. Our qiyamah starts when we pass. Okay? When we pass away, that's when our qiyamah, that's when our judgment starts. Okay? So this is why it's very important as believers you take it very seriously now. Because when we die and we move on, and to the barzakh or the hayat, the transitionary life underground, there's no return after that. Okay? Now we believe in malaika, wa kutubihi, wa rusulihi, and his messengers as well. Some people deny Jibreel alayhi salam. Some people deny Jibreel. Some people deny some of the angels. Is that accepted?
No.
It's not accepted. Right? Because Allah discussed them in the Quran. Like this is a clear message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the end, we know that Jibreel alayhi salam and in the realm of angels, is the chief of the angels. He is highly respected, venerated, and acknowledged for his service to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, right? The next part is, and this is the big piece here, al-ba'th ba'd al-maut, resurrection after death. So some people say, you know, yeah, like life after death. That's a really cool, you know, concept, right? That's a really cool concept. We can make a movie about it. Only these things, it's all fiction. We just, like, after we die, we're all gonna come back. Like, what does that even mean? You know? So some people believe there's nothing after when you pass away. You just go to sleep for a really long time and that's it, right? Like there's nothing. So in this case, we say, well, resurrection happens around us all the time.
When we sleep or wake up.
Okay, that's a great example. When you go to sleep and when you wake up, that's a resurrection on a daily basis, right? So here's the thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and He explained to you something that we take for granted. We don't pay attention to it. He says, Allah يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها والتي لم تمت في منامها. Do you know the ayahs? فيرسل التي قضى عليها الموت ويرسل الأخرى إلى أجل مسمى. Powerful verses, by the way. Allah يتوفى الأنفس حين موتها. Allah takes the souls at the time of death. Okay? Means, you know, life is in His hands. وَالَّتِي لَمْ تَمُتْ فِي مَنَامِهَا. And those people who do not die in their sleep, for example, because what happens in the tafsir, it says when you go to sleep, the rest that we need and we take on a daily basis, what happens, your soul goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He decides if you are going to wake up again by releasing the soul back to your body. Now for those people that their soul is not allowed to come back, that's death. So we experience death on a daily basis. What it's telling us is that we're vulnerable. Girls, you heard that word? What's the word? It starts with a V. Vulnerable. Okay? I just heard some chit chat. I'm just trying to see if people are awake. Okay? So, we are vulnerable people. We are weak and feeble. Okay? We think we have it all. We think we're in control. We're strong and, you know, I don't know. Sometimes we have, like, you know, the world's strongest man, the world's strongest woman. They can pull a train or a plane. Do you need rest? Do they need rest? They need rest. Yes, sir.
Isn't that why there's like a dua before you sleep? It's like Allahumma. No, it's like Bika wada'tu jambi wa bika arfa'u. Pray that.
Okay.
I don't know the full thing, but
the dua is Bismika Rabbi wada'tu janbi. Well, before you go to sleep, this is the dua you're supposed to say. In the name of my Lord, Bismika Rabbi wada'tu janbi. I put my side on the bed. Wa bika arfa'u. Right? فَإِنْ أَمْسَكْتِ نَفْسِي فَارْحَمْهَا. If you hold my soul while I'm dead, while I'm sleeping, فَارْحَمْهَا. Have mercy upon my soul because you've taken it. Now Allah already takes it. It's just He decides whether should I keep it or should I send it back. But the soul is with Him. فَإِنْ أَمْسَكْتَ نَفْسِي فَارْحَمْهَا. If you hold my soul, just have mercy on Allah. وَإِنْ أَرْسَلْتَهَا. And if you send it back, فَاحْفَظْهَا. Protect it. بما تحفظه به عبادك الصالحين. Just like how you protect your righteous servants. Powerful dua, by the way. That's how you go to sleep. You wanna enjoy a good night's sleep? Say that, and trust me, you'll sleep really good.
Say wallah.
Wallahi, it works. Have you tried it? You haven't tried it? Try it.
What's the dua again? I was busy. I didn't hear.
You're all gonna be so excited. I'm gonna go to sleep early tonight, brothers. I'm gonna say the dua. I'm gonna go to sleep early. باسمك ربي وضعت جنبي وبك أرفع فإن أمسكت نفسي فارحمها وإن أرسلتها فاحفظها بما تحفظ به عبادك الصالحين. It's easy, by the way. You have to just Take your time with it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when he holds his soul, like why do people when they're sleeping they move around?
Okay, so good question. So when you're asleep, so he asked a great question. He said, when you're sleeping, why do you kind of still move around? And sometimes, like, we might smack somebody and say, like, I told you don't do that. And it's like you're sleeping, you're talking, you're having a full conversation while you're sleeping. Is that person really dead though?
No.
So
They have their soul, but
yes, they're alive, but
But they're dead.
their nafs is taken. Their self.
Like
Okay.
The Walking Dead.
Oh.
So it's not like, yes, they're still alive. So it's the same thing when you actually pass away. When you're underground in the grave, right? You are still technically alive. Like your soul is alive. Your soul is not dead,
you still move around.
right? You don't move. No, you don't move. But so our bodies operate with a soul, right? Right now, if you take the soul out, the thing will just like go. But because we have this, creature within us, that's your nafs, right? So a lot of scholars have a discussion between is the nafs the ruh and the ruh the nafs. Is that? It's a big discussion, by the way. Is the self the soul? Is the soul the self? Right? Yes.
But don't you move or don't you try to get out of the grave once everybody else leaves?
No. You can hear them walk away. You don't try to get out. Like you're basically it's called halat al-wafat. Al-wafat is not actual death. It is basically when you're Isa alayhi salam.
Yes.
Isa right now, is he dead?
No.
Where is he?
Is he dead in heaven? No.
He's in the
He's
seventh
sky.
heaven.
Yes, but he's technically like in a state of sleep.
So he's
You
asleep.
understand? He's like asleep. He's not dead yet because he's coming back, and then Allah will take his soul after he completes his mission. Excuse me, guys.
So was a second.
Al-wafat is different than al-maut. Allah yatawaffa al-anfus
حين موتها.
حين موتها. Right? He basically takes something at the time of death. But some scholars say, just before he does that, you actually you know if it's death coming next, if it's maut coming next, and so on. Anyways, we won't get into this topic. It's a really big topic. But the point is that our souls and our nafs is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Now with this, what my point is here is that al-ba'th ba'd al-maut. This is an example of how life and death is brought upon earth and on a daily basis. The exchange happens on a daily basis. When we look at the seasons, yes, Jenna. Sorry, I really cannot hear you. Yeah, so death simply, it's simply a really long sleep, right? It's like a really deep sleep, right? It's like a deep, and they call it in English like slumber, right? Like you're in the very deep levels of rest, right? But as a person, as a soul, it has experiences. You know, when you fall asleep, sometimes you see images and dreams and things as if you are alive. It happened to me numerous times. I've seen some things in my sleep, and I wake up and thinking like, did this actually happen? I go call people and say like, what happened to this and that? It's like, no, nothing happened. It's all you saw it in your sleep, right? So it can be so real sometimes. So this the same thing. We have a life in the grave. So if it's a life of inshallah rahmah and maghfirah, you experience paradise. You experience joy and comfort and so on. And it's a hayat. It's a full life, but while it's in the spiritual sense of it, it's not in the physical sense, right? Now in the hereafter, we'll be brought back from this state into full life all over again. Okay, let's talk about the seasons. We have summer,
Spring, winter.
and we have winter. Okay. In Edmonton, we have 2 seasons only: summer and winter.
How?
Right? So it'll be like 3 weeks of fall. 3 weeks of fall. Okay, so where I'm from, Toronto, there's 4 seasons. Okay, spring, summer, You know, April showers bring May flowers. There's no such thing here. Here it's still snowing. May is still snowing, right? Or still cold. So the point is, there are 4 seasons technically in the year. When winter comes, everything dies.
Yes.
Is it really dead though?
No, it's dormant.
No.
Excellent. The trees are not dead. They're dormant. They're put to sleep. They're hibernating. You understand?
انت بتسألني الفرق بين الروح والنفس يعني؟ في فرق يعني
تقريبا.
انت بتساوي ما بينهم يعني لما كنت بتقول هي دي
لا ما حكيت الامر تماما بس بشكل عام يعني.
هو
الموضوع البحث عن الموت.
لا الرأي ان الروح هي
نعم صح.
في ناس بتفرق ما بينهم
صحيح.
لكن الصحيح الله
Exactly.
يتوفى الانفس حين موتها.
I know.
واخذ بنفسه يا رسول الله الذي اخذ بنفسه.
صحيح.
وان امسكت نفسي.
رحمة نعم. For sure, absolutely. Yeah. So, okay, let's come back, guys. So, during winter, for example, the trees are
Hibernating.
like they're in hibernation. They're on pause mode.
Like how animals hibernate.
When spring comes,
They wake up.
they wake up. All of a sudden, these bare trees become
Life.
full of life all over again. We get fruits and flowers and vegetation and greenery. Everything comes back. Is that not an example of resurrection?
Yes.
If Allah can do it to the trees, He can do it to us. No problem.
Yes.
Right? So when we die, we're dormant. We're put on pause. Okay? And then we're brought back. Okay?
So important.
Pardon?
So like when you die, depending on how good you did in life, that's when you're gonna go to Jannah.
Inshallah. Right? So if we do well, Allah will bring us back, with goodness as well. Okay? So this is a big concept. Yes. So your soul is still alive, right? Because our soul is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're transferred to another place, right? It's another hayat. It's another life. So just like how we said before, a child in the womb of the mom, right? In the tummy of her mom. This child died from the life in the womb and was born into this life. According to this life, that person died.
What?
Right? Or they're gone. They passed on. Right? But are they alive in this world?
Yeah.
That's us, right? We died in one life and we're alive in this life. We're going to die in this life and we're going to come alive in another life. You understand? So it's just a process.
So we're never gonna go to Jannah.
No, we will, inshallah. That's the final result. But there's a process of things. So the point here is, al-ba'ath ba'd al-maut is resurrection. Ali?
I never took it.
Okay, can we stop we have literally 5 minutes left.
I never opened it.
my
Like,
I never opened it.
Yeah, they just, ow.
I never opened it from the first place.
okay, so one of the greatest concepts that the mushrikeen, the people who disbelieve in Allah, say, yeah, there's no life after death. أَإِذَا مِتْنَا وَكُنَّا تُرَابًا وَعِظَامًا أَإِنَّا لَمَبْعُوثُونَ? Are we going to come back after all we're dead and dust and bones and so on? It's not going to happen. Or that's what at least they think, right? But Allah said, no, you will come back. Right? Al-Ba'ath, the one who gives life after death, the resurrector. Okay? وَالْإِيمَانُ بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَالشَّرِهِ, and believing in the destiny, and it's good and it's bad. So we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written certain things for certain people based on what He's seen from their hearts and when He created them. He knows their end. Yes.
But people use that to an excuse,
Pardon?
They use qadar to an excuse. They're like, oh, Allah's already written it, so it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So people use it. Obviously, they're going to say, well, because Allah written everything, I have no choice. Right? Well, if you had no choice, you would have been an angel, for example. You've either been an angel or a devil. Right? But there's a reason why we have choice. You still get to make your choices, right? But Allah knows what you're going to do in the end. It's written that, okay, this person is going to...
Your end choice is going to be written down.
Yeah, right? But you can change certain things with dua, for example. Right? So, for example, if you're looking for the truth, Allah would put you in that direction. You look for the hearts that are righteous, the hearts that would believe and not disbelieve, and so on. Yes.
So if for example we could draw, I want to completely change what we're gonna do. Like, for example, say that I don't know, I'm gonna give Harith a book, for example. If I make dua or something to not give him the book, will the end result change?
No. So okay, there's things you have choices to make, right? Yeah. So we're not robots. In other words, we're not robots. We're not like, okay, you're programmed and you're just gonna start operating without using your mind, right? We have a mind, and this is our next point. We have a mind. We have personalities. We have decisions, choices to make. Jazakallah khair. Tislam. Hayakallah. Shukran. Hayakallah. Jazakallah khair. Fuel. I just got some fuel. Okay? Tayyib. Jazakallah khair. So, what was my point again?
We have brains.
Yes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tools to interact with. The decision to make right and wrong choices. Right? But when you so now you have the ability to control certain things. And we talked about this before. We talked about there's certain things you can control and certain things you cannot control. Can you control the fact that you are put here on planet Earth? You're like, yeah, I actually took this, I signed up. I registered. I chose I'm going to live in, I'm going to be born in Syria, for example, in this village, and I'm going to choose these people as my parents. We didn't have that choice, did we? Right? We didn't choose that.
If we had that,
you are stuck with your parents and they're stuck with you, okay? It's written, okay? It's just written. But you have choice in how you react, and do you treat them right? Do you do good deeds? Do you do bad deeds, and so on? So you have choice to make certain decisions. Do you decide what you're going to eat?
No.
Yes.
Yes. You decide where you're going to sleep, for example?
No.
Yes.
No?
Where are you gonna sleep?
Kind of.
So,
How?
technically...
You choose. You can't choose. You want to fall asleep on the streets. Your parents aren't gonna let you.
No. My point is that you have choice in certain items, right?
Like what you're gonna do?
You wanna, what are you eating for breakfast? We're gonna make eggs today.
Pancakes.
And then you're like, okay, no, we're gonna switch it. We're gonna make pancakes. It was written that you will make pancakes, but your process.
Oh, so the end process is only
Exactly.
ماشي
Hold on.
اتفضل.
Adhan break.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله
Take it off.
أكبر
Take off the screen.
الله أكبر
That's the whole halaqa. That's the
You can shut off the
أشهد
camera.
أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا